everybody. Welcome to the Patriot Show. I am Anthony Stephen Malone, your host. I have a very special guest this morning, Nick Dunn, veteran paratrooper and international author. He has got a very interesting story, and I'm now going to pass over to Nick. How you doing, Nick? You all right?
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me on your show.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure to have a fellow paratrooper on the show, mate. You've been through a hell of a lot in your life, and you're still quite young as well. So I would like you to, start at the beginning, mate.
Well, growing up in the northeast of England, in Northumberland, I was just a regular guy, and a young guy in the 90s growing up, always out, never in the house. Like to build camps down the woods, play armies. So as a young age, the military was always a destination that one day I would find myself in. And going through life as a young, I didn't really stick in at school. I was a bit of a delinquent, to say the least. But when as a nearly a 35-year-old man, I do look back in them days and think, I wish I stuck in a little bit better. Probably because I'm crap at maths and English, but never mind. No, but like I grew up in a time where I had to spend a lot of time outside to see how life was going to lead me down the road. And it was a good experience with life growing up. Come from a hard-working family, middle-class family. My dad worked, my mum worked, older brother and sister, and very close-knit family, very close-knit, very loving family. And they always supported me in what I was wanting to do in life. And that was joining the army. And at that time of me joining the army, 2004, things were heating up, as we all know, after the Twin Towers, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. So growing up and being a young 18-year-old joining the Parachute Regiment, it's like a dream come true. No one joins the army not to at least have a bit of war action. Any military whose personnel says anything other, what the hell did you join the army for? Yeah. Simple reason, we don't join the army just to sit in a uniform and go from camp to camp. You join to join the regiment of your choice to go to war. And that was my idea of joining the army. That's me growing up as a kid, seeing war films. I wanted that experience. War's not nice. It's not like you see in the films. It's real. There may be times where your friends may be injured or, in some people's cases, die. It is real. It's not a film. So it does make you mature very quickly at a young age, and it definitely did that with me. It was the best times that I can think of. Being in Afghanistan, Northern Ireland, and Iraq, it was a massive eye-opener on 3 of them scenarios and theatres, because everyone was different. None of them operations were the same, and it does make you a good soldier. It does make you think very differently and put life into perspective as well. And it definitely, like I said, it matured me up massively.
Yeah, well, you were a member of the Airborne Brotherhood and the best regiment in the world. I'm biased, obviously. Now, but
Well,
all regiments are like equal, for want of a better word on it. The guys wear the uniform, they go out there, represent Queen and country. So respect to anyone who's ever worn the uniform in any of the services. Nick, can you tell us about your transition from being in the Parachute Regiment to Civilian Street?
very difficult, very difficult. I think there should be more done. I'm not aware on any levers now having the full backing of the military on transition to Civilian Street. As far as I'm aware, they're just once you've done your stamp sign, that's it. That's it. You're on your own. And it was like that for me. I had to think fast on my feet. It was quite a strange transition period, because one minute I'm wearing a green uniform, dealing with army personnel, to being in civilian clothing, dealing with civilians. And I've still got that military mindset. And I'm wondering why things aren't getting done. I've got to talk to people differently, because we all know how military personnel talk to each other. You can't seem to do that in civilian street.
Yeah.
You get wrong. And it was difficult, but I had a goal, and that was to get me security qualifications done. At the time, you had a lot of people working in Afghanistan, Africa, Iraq, doing close protection. And then my mate introduced me to maritime, and I was oblivious to everything. I remember making a remark on when he said, "Oh, have you ever thought about doing anti-piracy?" And I was like, "Piracy? What? Captain Jack Sparrow? What the hell are you talking about?" Because our news weren't shown what was going, because it was, something small, but coming up there, and it wasn't really talked about. But being in civilian street was very difficult, a different way of life, and I felt I had to be a part of something else, which was not so much military, but still that same kind of group of people who were military. So I felt at home. So I went into private security, made sure that I was covering everything. So, don't just chuck all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you're trained for everything. And obviously maritime gave me the head start in a new life and a new career.
Okay, so we obviously we both as quite experienced. A lot of former military personnel from all services do end up in the private security sector, working throughout the UK and overseas as well. And I think you're very right in what you've just said there. You're not in the military working in a PMC, but it's like a familiar environment with the guys, the banter you get between the guys as well, and the job. You're still wearing body armor, carrying a weapon. So I think you're absolutely spot on with what you've said there. How long did you spend doing maritime security?
It was a couple of years. Obviously, I would have done it a little bit longer. However, certain personnel put a stop to that, which I will go on to. But it was definitely something different. A lot of people, different military personnel were saying, "Well, this isn't what yous are used to. Why you want to do it?" And my response was, being a parachute regiment soldier, we can do everything.
Exactly.
Simple as that. Call it arrogance. Yeah. I call it adapt and overcome, and no job too tough. And simple as that. No one's going to tell me I can and cannot do a job just because I spend most of the time on the ground, to then work on the ships. It was a good experience going to different countries that I would never go to a travel agent and go, "Can I go there?" So I'm seeing similar side to when I was in the army, like going to Afghanistan and Iraq, but not as war torn. Going to, like, say, different countries. Like I was in Egypt, Cairo, during Ramadan, during the time where they were doing the riot, which I found quite funny. They didn't riot on a weekend. And when I was in Egypt, it was during the weekend. So everyone was kind of flapping, going, "Oh, be careful, be careful." I'm like, "What do you mean, be careful? It's quiet as hell." So it was it was madness. Going to Sri Lanka, and anyone who's done maritime, Sri Lanka was like the big hub. where a lot of people would come off vessels or wait for vessels to then go on the next transit. And you'd always meet people from different countries, and some people that you might have known in your military career. I remember bumping into a guy who I was in Para Depot with. And I was like, and it's mad because you only met that person for a few months, and you went to a different Para-Reg battalion and he went to it. But when you met on the beach, it was just boom, the connection between, like, you know, same cap badge and it's just the closeness you feel with being a part of something like the Airborne Brotherhood is just magical. You never seem to see that with other regiments. Okay, you do a bit with the Royal Marines, but other regiments you don't see that, and it's a shame because I think all the other regiments should have their own little close-knit family community as well. And same with just like other jobs, whether it be civilian jobs, you don't really see that to what we witness and experience as well. So I know it's totally different, but like just seeing someone who you just, you know, came across in training to not seen in over a decade nearly, and to have a conversation like you were just talking to each other the day before, it's madness, and it's a good feeling. But like working in maritime, it was definitely an experience.
Yeah, well, yeah. What was your favorite country? And you seem very interested in the culture within certain countries.
Sri Lanka was the country that I spent the majority of time in. There was over a week on 2 occasions where I spent in between transits. So I would say Sri Lanka, being quite a distance from home. It was nice place. Madness on the roads. The sense of being safe goes out the window. It's like a bunch of lunatics, but it's funny when you look back and reflect. It is quite funny because you don't see it at the time because we're a bunch of lunatics as it is. But just seeing a different way of life, culture, how the act, the dress, it is an eye opener. And friendly people as well. Friendly people.
Yeah, awesome. You're well travelled. You're well read, and so you have a lot of experience under your belt as well. Your life took a bit of a turn for the surreal, for want of a better word. Can you explain what happened?
Working in maritime, anyone who has worked in the security industry knows in certain countries you may get their officials who, I'm going to be blunt, will take bribes to make sure you go about your business because they knew what money is involved in the private security industry. They're not stupid. They know money's there to be had. And if they could withhold you at a port and create some bullshit story saying, oh, well, I've got a friend who said that they were saying his passport was a little bit frayed and it was fake. It was made to look frayed to appear to look genuine. But they were saying it was fake. And it was just because they wanted a bit of coin. And I just wish that would have been my situation. However, my situation took a turn for the worst. They accused us of gun running. They accused us of having illegal weapons to sell to Tamil Tigers, the terrorist organization of Sri Lanka. They accused us of doing a Mumbai-style attack on a nuclear power plant in Tamil Nadu, which is in the southeast state of India. These are accusations that was widely open for public to see on the media, online, to which it only took a short length of time for my own family to see these accusations. And it's not nice when you're in a port 5,000 miles away, being questioned, being held, being detained by a democratic country with big, close-knit ties with your country, the United Kingdom, and you're being accused of terrorist activity, illegal activity. It's not a very nice feeling to have your family questioning this, to say the least. It's kind of, hang on a minute, why is my own dad thinking I'm doing something illegal? And then when they turn around and say, well, but this is what we're saying online, you then look at what they're saying online and you're sat there going, this isn't just something small here. These people have made this mountain bigger than Ben-Hur. So this isn't going to go away easy. But in that situation, you kind of palm things off. That's probably, I think, your military mindset. You palm it off because you think it'll resolve itself. It's just a bit of misunderstanding. However, that wasn't the case to be.
Yeah, the way that you were treated with the other guys by a government that's supposed to be friends of the United Kingdom, my opinion, absolutely disgraceful. But I have my own opinions about that anyway. Can you tell us what happened and how long you were detained for as well?
It all started on the morning, you could say, of the evening, the morning of the 12th of October 2013 off the coast of Southeast India. We were taking fuel and provisions. A lot of people don't realise certain ports have classification to go into port. Our vessel didn't have that classification to go into the port, or if it did, because of the nature of that vessel, it would be put on a port where it would cost the company a hell of a lot of money. So we have our company client speaking with our agent, and basically they, organising fuel provisions, etc., for our vessel, which we were on a company holding vessel. We weren't on an actual client vessel. Few people do get mistaken with the two, but we weren't operating at this time. Weapons, kit, equipment was stored away, locked away, and the tactical deployment officer or the captain only had access to that room. So everything was stored away. We were technically passengers on our company vessel, and we were boarded by the Coast Guard and told to go to port. This happened in the early hours, so most was asleep. When it became a sufficient time, that's when we were kind of notified we'd been boarded. If you were to say a different word, you could say kidnapped by Indian authorities. I'm not going to deny, I'm not going to lie about that. We were. And I questioned why we were going so slow to the port, especially when we were, give or take, going, say, maybe 12 knots, probably an hour away from port, an hour and a half. Yet, on appearing to go to port, we were going far, far slower. And this was the reason so everyone on that port could get into position. It was like a media spectacle upon entering that port of Tamil Nadu in Tuticorin. You feel like the world's watching you. You're in a middle thinking process. Are we being looked upon as bad people, or is this just a big misunderstanding or something? So you're kind of thinking, what's really going on, especially when you see over 50 odd people, media by the port, you then start and question things. How on earth is there so many people at this port? And B, who are these people? So during the few days in port, and you've got different organizations, and I'm saying different organizations, I'm talking about organizations from Mumbai who could not have gotten to where we were in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Not a chance. I believe to this day it was a seizure exercise. Someone has told the port authorities we're doing illegal activity, which we weren't. To this day, I do believe we were sold out by our agent, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the court on how things, what money was taking place, what was getting spent. It all looked crystal clear. But that's my opinion. I think when you've got so many people, you've got to form a kind of security presence on your own vessel, because so many people were just coming on this vessel and saying this and the other. So we had to kind of say, whoa, we need to see some identification. We're not just letting Tom, Dick and Harry on our vessel. No. And we were getting questioned. Me personally, I didn't get questioned at all, but a few of the other guys did. It was like the military on the bus, off the bus, military on the bus. You know, you were never basically at a standing of ease with things. You were kind of always alert to what was going around, and it was kind of very, very frustrating, to say the least, on what's actually going on.
Yeah,
what are we being accused of?
Absolute chaos. They all knew what they were obviously doing. There was some sort of devious plan in play, for want of a better word, and you guys weren't being told or kept up to speed on anything. How long were you held for, and where were you held?
Well, it might not explain a lot in the media eyes to a lot of people, but it does when you come to read a bit more. We were in different prisons. Yes, prison. And ultimately, I spent majority of my time of 4 years, 1 month in a prison. Missed Christmases, missed birthdays. So 6 days in a port, then they told us we're going to a hospital for checkup. We went to a police station. We then went to the prison in Palamcourty. This prison was built during British rule. Yeah. It had that appearance, especially at night, when you're standing outside and looking upon it, is something damn right scary. You stood outside of this prison and you looked and thought, shit, the bed. What the hell's behind that gate? Yeah. And I tell you what, when they found out 6 British guys were coming to this prison, you could more or less see them doing backflips. They were like the shoes on the other foot now, because in the part of India where we were, in Tamil Nadu, they despised and cannot grasp that the United Kingdom used to rule India. Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt, I was told that by Indian personnel myself, that they said, if you were anywhere else in India, it would have been done and dusted, because you were in the worst state in India, a state that despises English, practically. If people want to argue with that, okay, fair enough. I know of that. And we spent a couple of days there. And then we went for a hellish 14-hour bus journey to Central Prison 2 in Puzzal, just outside of Chennai. Spent close to 6 months there. It was probably the worst 6 months of my life, and other guys can say that. It was horrendous, to say the least. Picture a British prison and take away everything. The basic of basic. Slate floor, a hole in the floor, and a tap. That was your cell. And you had to share it with a few other people. So you were cramped up. That in its own right is inhumane. That is mentally challenging. This is where life isn't the same as we get to know it with every day. These are the things where you think of all the stuff you take for granted, that when you are out of prison will appreciate for the rest of your life. You've gone from doing your job 1 minute to being in a prison and having your freedom taken away, your life stripped away. The only thing I had was the clothes on my back. Life as I knew it was over. That's how I mentally saw it. And it was and that was consumed by 4 years. My life up in the air, not in control of it for 4 years. And that's a long time to be unable to do what I want to do.
Yeah, I think you just got put in there, and basically it just went from bad to worse very quickly. The conditions that you were in, can you just speak again, very briefly, condense it? What was life like in there on a daily basis?
I'll talk mainly from when we're in the final prison after we've been convicted, because I spent the majority of time there. Yes, that prison was totally different to the previous one, which is actually next door. For the 6 months we spent in that prison, conditions were really bad. We got dysentery, very bad. We had to fight for food. We're only on 1 meal a day, which we opted to cook. And we're not Gordon Ramsay here. There's 23 guys who from 3 different countries, different backgrounds, different cultures, and we had to cook. We created little cooking teams, and to say the least, we probably gave each other 10 times more food poison than you would probably get at your local chippy. But it was very bleak conditions, very basic. You had the temperature of an average of 30 every day, and with warm weather you get lethargic very easy. You get dysentery. You've got the worry of you potentially, if you get a bad reaction from mosquitoes, how do you know? You might get dengue, you might get malaria. So you've got that in your head going around as well. You've got different cultures that you're dealing with. You've got the communication boundaries as well. You've got basically life as you know it, and you've got to get used to a new life, and it's very difficult. You can't just pick your phone up and start speaking to your family. You've got to resort to letters. And it was very difficult communications. It was either via the snail mail or when the embassy came to visit with. The food, very basic. It's potatoes, carrots, green beans, tomatoes, onions, and at first we were getting chicken necks and chicken wings, and then majority of it was just, you wouldn't even give your dog. But then it kind of did get better. We're getting chicken thighs, which just one piece, and there weren't big pieces, so we had to make do. But you adapt and you overcome and you improvise as time gets on. But taking from one extreme to another, that was what prison life was like. It was just a massive eye opener.
Right. You've written a book, because I would love to talk, but it would take hours and hours to go through all of this. You've written a book. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, I written a book. It came out on the 26th of March last year, so it's nearly 1 year anniversary soon. It's called Surviving Hell, and I believe we went to hell and survived. My family went to hell, of our guys, their families went to hell. It all come about whilst in prison. And I've got amazing people from around the UK, around the world writing to me. And a few people were saying, Nick, you've been sentenced to 5 years. Have you ever thought about writing your memoirs down? Because you don't know how long you're going to be, or you're going to serve your full sentence, or, you know, people want to know. People were intrigued into wanting to know how it all happened. And because the media there was so much at times that the media couldn't keep up, and there was a long time where the media had no information, so they would just keeping it short and sweet. So people were wanting to really know what went on, and like I say, letters in prison. And when I finally came home, people would then recognise us, which wasn't too hard to, because my hair was long and I looked like a lost sheep, because so much had changed in the space of 4 years. So people would then, you know, do the "Hi Nick, welcome home," and all the nice things they used to say. And I hand on my heart, respect every single person who done that. And I still sometimes get that to this day, and it's really, really nice. And they all said, Nick, you've got a story to be told. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And the more people that kept on saying that, I had a conversation with my sister Lisa, and I said, let's go with it. What have we got to lose? Got a story to tell. You've got a story to tell. Let's not try and see what happens. So we created a lengthy synopsis, and then used that and just done the good old Google power search. And one person was helpful, other people weren't, and I think when I came home, there was quite a lot of military personnel doing books, and it was for a lot of publishers a bit repetitive, because they were thinking, oh, and I was thinking, well, it's all right for them. They're talking about their military experience, but no one's got a story like mine. This should never have happened. So I've got a big miscarriage of justice, a worldwide international story of corruption, deceit, lies. I was deemed as a political pawn. Yeah. I have a story to be told here, and people know that. And I thought, let's try it. And I got a good lucky break, and it was a real eye-opener just getting my book, because this was the first time I've ever sat down and talked about it in great lengths. It's okay standing up and giving a brief description and just saying thank yous to people as well, but this was the first time I'm actually going to sit down and relive it all. And it was very difficult. Howard, who helped me write the book, had amazing perseverance, amazing understanding that certain subjects would be more emotional than others. And there was times where he says, do you want to end it now? I said, no, we keep going. And he was very patient with me. I think I learned him some new words, as in military words, some verbal words, as in not nice words, because emotions are very broadened with certain people. And I just gone through an emotional roller coaster. So yes, it was a very great cathartic experience as well doing the book.
Yeah, therapeutic is a word I would use. You're able to put everything down there. Have you got a copy of the book so you can show?
Yeah, I actually do. This is the hardback edition, Surviving Hell. It is in paperback and Kindle edition as well. Amazon is the most common place to buy the book. When people want signed copies, they can easily get in touch with me via my social media. There is other places to buy my book, like Waterstones. They're a big book outlet. WH Smith as well, and just of our third-party online websites as well. So my book is out there, but Amazon's the main place to buy it.
I will recommend the book to any of my viewers, America, Britain, and Canada. I would recommend it. It is a very good insight, and you can learn a lot from the book as well. Not just an interesting story. It's very educational as well. Nick, after you've been through everything you've been through now, did your experiences change your perspective on life?
Yes. People who personally know me, I am quite opinionative with things. I've got a sense of humour. Going through 4 years was mentally challenging, emotional, and it's made me probably more emotional, but more mentally tough at the same time. Like you say, in life, you can't get all good. You've got to get bads as well. Positives and negatives, that's how I see it. And throughout my outlook in life, I do see things differently. As I probably assess things more in depth, I take a step back and I generalize things, and I look at things, and I just basically want the best things in life. But you've got to realize you can't always have it all singing and dancing. Things do go wrong in life, but let's not get too disheartened with stuff. You might have something bad happen in your life, but that could be a positive. You might not think it at the beginning, but in every negative, there's a positive. That is not your route. That is not the road or the path in life you need to go down. So that was a negative, but it put you on a different path in life. So it was more positive, and I feel that's what's happening to my life as we speak. There's certain things that's happened, even from me coming home from India to the UK, good and bad have happened. And at the time I was focusing so much on the bad, and I was like, oh, but then when my sister says, get a grip of yourself, and look at it in a different angle, I started to saw the positive side of it. I was like, maybe that person wasn't meant to be, but this person was, and their persona is showing a more brighter route in life to go down. And I'm like, let's go down this road, and that's how I see things. And it became more apparent as of last year, where all of our lives was thrown up in the air, and life as we knew it didn't end. It just got derailed. And we're busy currently creating new tracks and hopefully more sturdier, better way of life.
Yeah, Nick, I think a lot of people can learn a lot from your experiences. A positive mindset, you've definitely got that. And I think a lot of people should take that from you, your advice as well on that. Always stay positive, always stay moving forward. And one of the most important things that I know you've got is a sense of humor.
Oh, my sense of humor has, it's not for the faint-hearted. I should say the least. Sometimes even my sister cringes at it as well. She says, people won't get that. And I'm like, oh, but that's the military from you. You leave the military, but the military doesn't leave you.
Exactly.
You could bump into someone from the military who you haven't seen in 10 years and it feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. We are cut from a different cloth to the rest of the population. Yeah. We are our own close-knit community, and and the military saved my life. The military helped me immensely in my dark days whilst I was going through a 4-year nightmare. If I had no military experience, I probably would have been more of an emotional, unstable person right now. And that, without a shadow of doubt, is the truth. The military saved my life mentally. Yes, there is a few cracks. However, the polyfiller is ready available. And as soon as cracks start to appear, we assess those cracks, we deal with those cracks. And I think anyone who has a crack mentally, no matter how deep it is, do something about it.
Yeah, that's a very important message, Nick, especially now, especially with everything that is going on. Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I will look at another interview when you have time, because there is so much more experience, especially for the veteran community out there. Okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of your experience and a lot of your knowledge as well and advice would go down very well. But I think we'll do something a little bit special on that one. For me and my viewers, I would like to say thank you so much, Nick, for coming on the show and sharing just a little part of your story. Anyone who wants any more, get the book. Incredible read. Okay.
Oh, Nick, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. It is difficult and hard at times to try and get out as much, but like what you said there, if you want to know what really happened and if you're intrigued,
get the book,
go buy it. There's no bullshit. That is 100% raw.
Right.
If you want
behind Nick, I'm standing behind you, Nick. I'm standing behind your book. I'm standing behind everything that you've written in it, mate, as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Happy days.
That's great.
All right, Soldier, you take care of yourself. I'd like to say goodbye.
No problem.
Thank you for watching. For all the viewers, please watch some of the promotional videos at the end of this interview for veteran-owned companies. Okay, everyone, take care. Stay safe.